Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tier List Tuesday. Today we're doing a really big one. We're going to be ranking every single Pokemon TCG yet, from base set to Crown Zenith on tiermaker.com. If you love these tier list videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you love tabletop retro content, I also release that every single Friday. Let's get right into it. Just to clarify, I did do this tier list originally about a year ago, not on the channel, but on Twitter, and my opinions have changed since then. I feel like it'd be really cool to revisit it in this Tier List Tuesday series. Starting off, we have the base set. We're going to do this chronologically. As you can see, everything's lined up perfectly. Base set. Last year, I would have put it at F. But this year, it's going to go up to D tier, and my thoughts on base set have improved, not because of the card pool, because of its game design and all of that, but because I like the concept of base set in that it's the first set of the game. It's very completable. There's a lot of iconic and cool holo cards compared to some of the upcoming sets where there's less of them, and it doesn't have the non-holo rares, and it's just a pretty good starting point. I'd say I'd rank it better than the other early sets. But we've still got some other early sets to go, so let's see which ones stack up to it. Just for reference, this is based on my personal liking, not like meta or not like artwork or anything, just like whatever I like the best about a set, that's going to be put up somewhere. Next up we have Jungle. This is definitely the weakest of the early sets. There's only a couple of cards I really like from this set, and there's only one trainer card, so there's really not much in Jungle. It's very much just an expansion to try to cover most of the Pokedex, which would later be finished off with Fossil. And I will say Fossil is alright in this regard. It's better than Jungle, so I'm going to put it in D tier, because I don't hate it as much as Jungle. It's not as good as base set, though. It does have some, obviously some hollows like Articuno and Moltres that were left out of the base set, and Kabutops, and is there an Omastar? I think there's an Omastar. It does have the rare holo and rare non-holos, the same cards though, so it's like definitely like D-, and if D gets like super full, I may even move it down to F. It's a very low D ranking. Next up we have Team Rocket. First set that's actually really good of that era. Team Rocket just has like the best artwork by far of these early sets. All of the artwork is like custom made instead of just being like stock looking artworks, and there's backgrounds to it, and there's a lot of cool trainer effects. Nightly Garbage Run is really, really cool. You see bosses away. You also see some less fun ones like Rocket's Sneak Attack and all that, and the Rocket's Trap, but we don't talk about those ones. Just going to talk about the fact that it is a much cooler set, both thematically and art-wise, than these other ones, so I like it more. Next up we have Gym Heroes. This one features Misty, Erica, Brock, and I forget the fourth gym leader. Erica, Misty, Brock. It's the third gym leader. Lieutenant Surge, yes. We're going to put this up in B tier as well. It's the same thing. It's the high point of the Gen 1 sets. Is just having lots of nice holos and lots of cool mechanics being introduced in these sets with the owner's Pokemon. And I feel the same about Gym Challenge, though Gym Challenge is a little bit weaker, I'd say, because it doesn't have the Erica cards, which Erica is my favorite Gen 1 gym leader, as well as Brock. Those two are my favorites. Next up we have Base Set 2. This is a set that just didn't need to exist. I don't think this is a controversial take at all, but Base Set 2 really has no reason to exist. It was just to make Base Set again, but they mixed some of the cards from Jungle in this time. Okay, that doesn't really deserve its own set though, so F tier it goes. Next up we have Neo Genesis. Neo Genesis did a lot of cool things and a lot of things that I'm not a fan of. A lot of the Gen 2 Pokemon are just kind of weak, in my opinion. Gen 1, not very strong either on the Pokemon side. But Gen 2 is probably even worse, if not. It's probably about the same now I think about it, because there is Celebi, after all, in Gen 2. Neo Genesis has some cool cards, though. Obviously, Lugia and Ho are very cool. I believe Ho is in the set. And then, probably my favorite card from the set is Cleffa. Looking back, I haven't played the era, but Cleffa is a very cool card, and I like that Cleffa brought support Pokemon kind of into the spotlight of the game. We're going to give it a B tier as well. Next up we have Neo Revelation. Well, it's not bad. It does have, some Umbreons in it, some Espeons. I believe this is where the Unknowns debuted. It's just not my favorite. I'm going to give it C tier. It's not like bad, it's just not impressive. Next up we have is that Neo Discovery? that is Neo Discovery. I think this is Neo Revelation. Yep, I got them mixed up. So that's Neo Discovery. Neo Revelation has Entei Raikou Suicune in it, and I can't remember much else from the set. Honestly, though, just from what I remember about C tier, nothing really stuck out. But Neo Destiny is much better. Neo Destiny is probably my favorite set of this era. Neo Destiny has Celebes in it, which is really cool. I believe Neo Revelation has Celebi in it too. But Neo Destiny obviously has the Shining Celebi, which is really cool. Yeah, I think I'll move up Revelation because it has the Celebes in it, which is nice. We're gonna put this in A tier though. Neo Destiny has the Shining Pokemon, which is they're pretty cool, and it has the Light and Dark Pokemon again, which is cool. They make really nice hollows. I believe Dark Espeon was one I really liked. And you get like Light Machamp and stuff that are kind of cool cards. Next up we have Expedition base set. Expedition has a couple of really cool cards, however it also has a couple of really lame cards. Namely, the 3-starter Pokemon all look ugly as sin. So I'm going to give it C tier. There is some really cool cards though, so, you know, if this is your favorite set, this is your favorite set. I will mention that these next 3 pack arts are literally the worst pack arts to ever exist. Like, what were they thinking? This looks so bad. Aquapolis. Aquapolis is a really, really beautiful set. Obviously, this is the introduction of Crystal Pokemon. I believe Crystal Nidoking, I believe, in this set. I don't remember the other one. And then there's a lot of Pokemon kind of based around this, like, Venice town in a way. They're just, like, surrounded by water. You get lots of aquatic Pokemon, a really good theming to it. I believe this is the first set that Koki Saito also illustrated for the TCG, if I remember correctly. I'm going to put that in A tier as well. Still ugly looking booster pack, but we're not rating it on booster packs. So if booster pack, that's F tier, but the actual set itself, A tier. Skyridge, very similar thing. Very, very good artwork in this set. Just a lot of really, really cool cards. Really just the peak of the artwork of this time, and really we wouldn't get back there for a little while because the EX era kind of took a downturn on the artwork when it first started, doing a lot of stock artwork of the new Pokemon when they came out. So Skyridge is going to go in A tier. Next up we have Legendary Collection. Legendary Collection is a reprint set, and the only thing that's different about it is that it has the funny looking firework hollows. Does it change my opinion of base set 2 a little? Yeah, honestly, I like it a little bit better. Is the introduction of reverse hollows to the Pokemon TCG, is it? Yes, I do believe it does. I might have gotten the order wrong, because I think this is supposed to go before the Expedition base set. But whatever, I screwed it up. Yeah, this is supposed to go before Expedition. Whoops. Yeah, this set is cool. I like the reverse hollows, but other than that, it's kind of just a bad reprint set. Next up, we're to Generation 3. Again, ugly pack artworks, but we make do with EX Ruby and Sapphire. Ruby and Sapphire base is a really, really cool set. Features, you know, obviously Blaziken, Swampert, and Sceptile, all very playable cards. And it would have the Gardevoir that accelerates energy into play, and it'd have Delcatty. Later we get Magneton and EX Dragon. It's a really cool set. For playing, like, I like it just because I look at all the cards that are cool from it, and that makes me happy. Do I put it? Yeah, I think it is A tier. It's a very good set. We can always move things down later if things get a little too crowded, and the reason I do that is I want it to be a little bit more even among the rankings. Next up we have Sandstorm. Sandstorm is much less of a playability set. It did have some cards like Lynette's Net Search and Cradilly, which I really, really like Cradilly. There's a lot of really, really wonderful art in Sandstorm, and that's kind of what's carrying it over Ruby Sapphire is the artwork, so I'm going to put it up in A tier as well. But if you want to rank this lower, like, I perfectly understand, but I've really warmed up to Sandstorm just because of its really, really wonderful artwork in the set. Next up we have EX Dragon. This is a set that's just really incredible. Also great pack artwork. I'm not sure why Midori Harada was brought on to do the artwork for the set, but it's amazing, so thank you for bringing them on. EX Dragon has, like, so many cards. They're not, like, competitive, right? For competitive sake, there's, like, Magneton, and that's the best card in the set. I'm talking about, like, for collectability in my regard. This is one of the sets where there's almost no misses. Like, all of the hollows are really cool. This is going to be our first S tier set. This is just a personal opinion. Obviously, I'm not ranking on a competitive scale. On a competitive scale, it would be much lower. But just from all the cards that are in the set that are hollow, I just really like a lot of the hollows. There's Absol, there's Salamence, Flygon, all of these cool dragon Pokemon, and just really edgy like Absol. And they're all just really beautiful artworks on the hollows. Next up, we have Team Aqua versus Team Magma. Obviously, this brought in the Aqua and Magma mechanic, as evident by the name, and that was the entire set. I do hold some fondness for the set because I am a player who has a deck of Team Magma's Groudon built. However, it is probably the worst artwork of any set of all time. Every single Aqua and Magma Pokemon is done in CG, and the arts in the set that are not CG are Ken Sugimori stock arts. So, yeah, I'm gonna put it in D tier. I put this up in, I think, like C tier last year. It's just an abysmally ugly set. There's some cool cards in it. You know, the Team Magma engine is cool, the Team Aqua engine is cool. But it's abysmally ugly. Hidden Legends didn't really debut anything, I suppose. You see the Reggies get their first appearances on TCG, so that is something, I suppose. Steven's Advice is a really cool card from the set. If you play the game, you know Steven's Advice is cracked. Other than that, though, it's kind of just a mess set. There's not that much going on in the set. There's a few cool EXs. None that come to mind, but I remember there being some EXs I wanted from the set when I was a kid, but I believe the Reggies are in the set. That would be the EXs that are in there. So, gonna put it in C tier. It's just C tier is kind of like the meh tier. Like, this is like meh, this is like pretty alright, this is like pretty great, and this is obviously God tier. Next up, we have EX Fire Red and Leaf Green, a set that is pretty cool. Obviously, we saw the introduction of some cards like Celio's Network to the game that were pretty good. And this is when they started to change reverse hollow patterns. Actually, Hidden Legends was when they started to change reverse hollow patterns, the EX era. This one had the solid staple of just energies. This one had the sporadic energy effect. And on rares, you get a reverse hollow Pokeball. And, like, honestly, the set is, like, kind of a meh. To me, there's like a few cool cards for playability wise. Obviously, if you're back then, Blastoise EX and Pidgeot are like two of the most iconic cards of the era. But to me, there's not a lot going, and as a collector, I'm not really interested in the set because I don't like Gen 1 Pokemon as much. So, the way I'm looking at it, it's probably like a C tier set. I'm like tempted to move it up to B just because of the reverse hollows, but I'm going to leave it here. My favorite reverse hollow from the set is Multi-Energy. The reverse hollows are really good though, but just missing the mark, honestly, and move it up. EX Team Rocket returns, brought back the Rockets and Dark Pokemon to the game, and its reverse hollow pattern brought the first ever stamped reverse hollow into the Pokemon trading card game with the EX Team Rocket's return logo on every single reverse. Maybe I'll do a video on all the reverses in the EX era, because it's a really wild time for reverse hollows in this era. EX Team Rocket Returns features a lot of cool cards for players back in the day. I don't play from 2006, but if you play 2006, obviously there's like all of the Rockets tools. There's like the Swoop Teleporter, POW Hand Extension, the Surprise Time Machine, and there's, the Rockets EX like Sneasel, and there's Dark Dragonite. There's a lot of really, really good artwork in this set, honestly. Like, I've really warmed up to the artwork in the set. A lot of, like, really evil-looking Pokemon. Like Dark Marowak, for instance. Really, really cool card. We're going to put this up in A tier, I think. It's pretty cool. Got a lot of cool cards in there. Next up, we have EX Deoxys. This set is kind of mid. It does have a cool reverse hollow pattern with a, like, kaleidoscope thing. Famous for warping like Pringles, like the cards will literally be folded like a Pringle chip, which is kind of funny. But there's some cool cards in the set, obviously like Ludicolo, Magcargo, those come to mind. I really like the reverse hollow pattern, honestly, for just collecting purposes. Like, I have a Plusle from the set I'm a big fan of. But in regards to a set, I'm not like that into it. There's a lot of Deoxys EX in there that I would believe it would have 3 of them, and then the 4th one would be moved to the next set. I'm just not a big fan of it. So C tier, it's just kind of okay. Next up, we have EX Emerald. By the way, incredible pack artworks for all the EX Emerald sets. EX Emerald is a great looking pack art set, and would you believe it, it's one of my favorite sets of all time. We're going to rank it like that. EX Emerald features the Hollow Energies that I absolutely love. If you don't know, it features 6 Hollow Energies. They're my favorite basic energies to play in my decks. They're super shiny and all that. It also features a just swath of really cool hollows, Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza. It features one of my favorite reverse hollow patterns of all time. Arguably, even for my favorite, honestly, it's such a nice reverse hollow pattern. It's just like the Pokeball symbol, and the EX Emerald logo is a really cool looking logo. I know you can't see it here, unfortunately, because it's cut off, but you'll just have to take my word for it. EX Emerald, pretty rad. Not a big fan of the EXs in the set, despite EX being in the name. I could care less about most of those. It's about the hollows and it's about the hollow energies. Next up, we have EX Unseen Forces. Is this the... No, Team Rocket Returns is the one that brought gold stars into the game. I forget what... I don't think Emerald had gold stars in it. EX Unseen Forces, I believe, has Entei, Raikou, Suicune as its gold stars of choice. It has Lugia EX, which is a pretty notable card. Meganium EX, you know, 3 Johto starters, as well as Lugia, Ho-Oh, and Celebi, kind of a Johto-themed set, if you couldn't tell. It is a cool set, but it's not one I have any particular affinity for compared to the other EX sets. We're going to put it in C tier. I could potentially be moved on this, but honestly, it's just alright from my view. Next up, we have Delta Species. I remember the Pitchforks were out last year because I put like Delta Species in like B tier or something. Delta Species is a cool set in some ways. I do like the reverse hollow pattern quite a bit. While very simple, it's also very effective at just reflecting the light. It's got a lot of cool cards in it. It's got, obviously, if you're a player, you know about the Holon engine and all the cards that come with that. And I think that has raised opinion of me. It's not an S tier set in my opinion. I don't think it ever will. But it is an A tier set. It's pretty cool. It's a set that I'm pretty stoked about, honestly. I'd love to, own some more cards from it. Maybe play some decks from it someday. Who knows? I think the only one, I've opened up a lot of packs in my lifetime. I've been around a while. I haven't opened up, base set or, anything up to that. But I did open up a Gym Challenge, and I've opened up a Skyridge. I think the only EX era sets I haven't opened is, the first 4 and then EX Team Rocket Returns. But everything else, I've opened these. I know for a fact I've opened up, everything here, and I've opened up Delta Species, Unseen Forces, and Deoxys. For sure, because I still have cards from a kid, when I was a kid, that I opened from those. Next up, we have EX Legend Maker, a very weird set kind of placed in the middle of these, despite just introducing the Delta Species Pokemon in EX Delta Species and the Holon's cards. Legend Maker doesn't have any of that, and I believe, if I remember correctly, it was because the set was originally supposed to be released prior to Delta Species, but it was held back to be released alongside the movie with Mew in it, Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. If I remember correctly, that was what it was. I could be wrong, though, so don't take my word. But it is a very cool set. It's got, obviously, a lot of really great hollows. It's got a great reverse hollow pattern. Fighting for the #1 spot, honestly, for the reverse hollow pattern. The reverse hollow pattern is incredible. It's very simple. It's just a nice, Cosmos hollow with the label, but it works so well. I'm going to give it A tier. There's a lot of cards I really like from this set. I had a lot of fun opening this as a kid. This is one of the sets that I always grabbed when I was a kid. Next up, we have EX Holon Phantoms, bringing back the Delta Species Pokemon, and I believe this is the one with Mewtwo and Pikachu Gold Star. So if you're a big fan of Gold Stars, this might be the set for you. There's a few cool cards in the set that I can remember. A lot of the Delta Species had CG artwork, which was unfortunate, but you did get some ones, like in EX Delta Species, there's Tyranitar that had really good artwork, but a lot of them ended up getting CG, like the Delta Mewtwo that comes to mind from this set. I don't remember a lot from this set, to be honest. I remember some EXs, I think Crawdons from this set, but I don't remember a lot of the cards in the set. I just don't really have an opinion either way. I opened it when I was younger, and it's got a cool reverse hollow pattern. This is when they would stabilize the reverse hollow pattern for the rest of the era. The next sets that would all follow the same thing, but with their different logos. Next up, we have EX Crystal Guardians. This set used to be my S tier. This set used to be my favorite set of all time. I was working on completing it for a few years until I realized I wasn't that big of a fan of most of the set, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, it's not bad. There's definitely a lot of cool cards in the set. You know, like the Blastoise is a cool card. I like the artwork on that. And my favorite card of all time is in the set, which is why I was collecting it. Celebi Gold Star is my favorite card in my entire collection. But I can't rank it A tier anymore, and honestly, I can't rank it S tier, can't rank it A tier even. It's just kind of a B tier set. It's still pretty good. There's obviously Celebi Gold Star, and that weighs it pretty heavily. Moving it up from C, there's, you know, the Blaziken fighting type EX, there's Aggron EX, I believe Delcat EX in the set, Jirachi EX. Like, there's some cool cards. Don't get me wrong, I know everyone likes that electric type Charizard, but you know, it just isn't as good as it used to be in my mind, because I kind of got over a little bit of the Crystal Guardians hype, and now I just still love my Celebi just as much as before. Celebi's my favorite card of all time. Next up we have EX Dragon Frontiers. This set, what is with the dragon sets, man? Dragons used to be so cool in the Pokemon TCG. It's got dragons galore. Dragon type didn't exist, but like it's got lots of cool dragon type Pokemon. You have lots of just raw Pokemon with Delta species like the Dark Nidoking, and there's the fire type's Helmet's from Delta species. There's a Salamence EX that's water type. That's the one I was thinking of. I think the original Salamence EX from DX Deoxys, now I think about it. That's a kind of thing I forgot about. Yeah, the Dragon Frontiers is raw, dude. This set is really cool. Gonna put it up in A tier as well. Yeah, it's close to S tier, honestly. It and Legend Maker are both on like the brim of being S tier, but I just can't rank them as high as EX Dragon or Emerald, because there's cards that I just don't care about in the set. But there's a lot of cool cards in the set. A lot of really cool Delta Species EX, Dragonite, Altaria, Flygon. Like this set has a lot of cool dragon Pokemon, as the name may suggest. Next up we have EX Power Keepers. This set is a reprint set for all intents and purposes, only with a couple new cards in there. We did get some new cards based around the Elite Four members, like Sydney Stadium, along with a Mightyena. There's a new Dusclops, I believe, along with Phoebe Stadium, and then Glacier Stadium, and I forget the old dragon dude's name offhand. But there's a few new cards, but mostly a reprint set. There's some good alternate arts, like the Gardevoir done by Midori Harada. But there's also a lot of Ken Sugimori stock artwork. So, with that in mind, I think I'm going to rank it C tier. It's like kind of good, but like it's held back by the fact it's a reprint set that features a lot of stock artwork. I believe this was exclusive to the West, like Japan never got it. So that might be why. Next up we have Diamond and Pearl base set. We're starting to get into my favorite era of the TCG here. I love the Diamond and Pearl era. Absolutely incredible. Love the Platinum era. Absolutely incredible. Love the Heart Gold Silver era. Absolutely incredible. As for Diamond and Pearl base itself, it's probably the weakest set. It's down there for sure with Diamond and Pearl sets. You got some like cards coming out of it, like Empoleon, Infernape, and Dusknoir that are really cool. Dusknoir in particular is probably my favorite card from the set. But Diamond and Pearl did not have good artwork at all. Like, almost all the new Pokemon are done by CG, like all the new evolutions, right? Like, every single holo in the set of like a new Pokemon is like CG, right? That's terrible. No, we don't want that. And it was kind of just a big numbers set. There wasn't that many cool abilities besides like Dark Palm on Dusknoir. So I'm going to put it down in D tier. I really hate doing that because as a kid I loved Diamond and Pearl base. Didn't care about the art mark swatch, just wanted the cool Gen 4 Pokemon. And if you just love cool Gen 4 Pokemon, I mean, the set's for you. Though they would be power crept later on for most of the cases besides like Dusknoir. Next up we have Mysterious Treasures. Mysterious Treasures still has a lot of CG artwork, unfortunately, which does hold it back. They were kind of covering the whole Pokedex. However, Mysterious Treasures does a few things right for me. Particularly, it has Time-Space Distortion, which is one of my favorite cards from this era. I absolutely love Time-Space Distortion. It has the Uxie, Azelf, and Mesprit, the original prints. Only the Azelf is really good, but still it's worth mentioning. It's really, really cool. And it has BB Search, one of my favorite cards of all time for searching out Pokemon. One of my favorite supporter cards in general, I'll just say. Which BB Search, absolutely great artwork, flawless card. Love it to bits. So we're going to put up in B tier. It's still a weaker early Diamond and Pearl set, but it is really good in the fact that it is one of the stronger early Diamond and Pearl sets, in my opinion. Next up, we have Roserade on the front of Secret Wonders. Secret Wonders is like the last of the early... I call... There's like a split. I know it's like technically rotation happens with Great Encounters, but there's definitely a split here from like the CG artwork, because Great Encounters features a lot of like not CG artwork, which definitely improves my opinion of it at least a little bit. The Secret Wonders in particular though is a pretty weak set. If you had to boil this set down to one card, and I know that sounds ridiculous, like a 100 card set, boil it down to one card, it's Gardevoir. I mean, Gardevoir and Gallade, right? But Gardevoir is like the best card in the set. It has amazing artwork too. And I can't give it D tier because of that, because like I like Gardevoir and I like Gallade more than like everything in D here. But we're gonna move it up to C tier. It's still a just kind of meh early set. It's infamous for hollow bleeds and reverse hollows with hollow lines on them. So if you like collecting those, this is a set where almost every single one is an error print in that way. There's some cards for collectors in here, I suppose, like Lugia and Ho-Oh hollows, but not really for me. Next up we have Great Encounters. Funny enough, this is actually my first set I ever bought, rather received as a child. First packs I ever opened were 2 packs of Great Encounters that I got for Easter. And what were in those packs? A rare Mawile and a hollow rare Rotom. My first ever card was Slowpoke from Great Encounters. Is Great Encounters a great set though? Not so much. I have a little bit of a bias towards it. It has a lot of really nice artwork. And some really cool looking Darkrai's. It just features a lot of like Darkrai with Palkia and Dialga, and then it's a Gen 3 themed set. It has like the all the Gen 3 starters are in here, and actually the Swampert is a really cool artwork, which I quite like. I can't rank it as low as Secret Wonders, but I can't rank it as high as like the A tier. We're gonna put it at B tier. Next up we have Majestic Dawn. Majestic Dawn is one of the cutting points in the Diamond Pearl era where the rotation happened. One thing to say about Majestic Dawn is Majestic Dawn is the best pack artwork of any set ever. I know it's like controversial because the Harkle Silver ones are also incredible, but there's some great pack arts coming up, guys. Like this era is a gold mine for pack arts because you get these, you get the Koki Saito ones, skip a little bit forward, and then you get like the Harkle Silver one. Those are all just like some of the best pack artworks ever. As for Majestic Dawn, it's got some cool cards in it. I really love Bronzong from the set. I really love the Call Energy is a really cool card. Great Encounters. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Great Encounters has Roseanne. That's another thing that's giving it up here. Roseanne's good. As for Majestic Dawn, not too many other cards that like come to mind that I really, really love. It's just okay. Pack artwork wise, it's really pretty. It has like the Evolutions in there. It has Porygon level X, which is cool. And it has Garchomp level X, which is cool. I'm going to give it like C tier. It's like the top of C tier. It and Fire Red Leaf Green are like the top of C tier. Next up we have Legends Awakened. This was my favorite set as a kid, right? Because Legends Awakened had just a ton of legendary Pokemon, and I loved legendary Pokemon as a kid. It has like the Reggie lines, it has Rayquaza, Groudon, Kyogre. Yeah, it's just like rocking a bunch of legendary Pokemon like no one's business. Though, frankly, every set in the Diamond Pro era does feature some legendaries. Like Majestic Dawn has Fion, and Great Encounters has a Latios, but Legends Awakened is really insane. As a player nowadays, Legends Awakened stands out as a set that introduced a lot of power creep into the game, which really, really, like, I mean, it kind of makes the set go crazy, because, like, you have Uxie in the set, Uxie and Uxie level X, you have Mesprit and Azelf. 3 of the best cards ever printed are Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf, and Uxie gets a great level X, Azelf gets a great level X, and Mesprit also has an alright level X. Like, these cards are cracked! And it had Cynthia's Feelings, another good card at the time, and it had I mean, some decks use the Regigigas, but not really. That was like later. Regigigas level X was in the next set. Trying to think of level X's in Legends Awakened that come to mind. There's like Heatran, I think, is in this set. Yeah, that's all that comes to mind, honestly. Oh, Magnezone, my first ever level X Magnezone is in this set. This set's pretty great, though. I'm going to put it up in A tier. And while I'm here, I'm actually going to move Great Encounters up to A tier because I remembered a card. It's Claydol. Claydol's in Great Encounters. Great Encounters is going to get A tier because of Claydol, Roseanne, and the above-mentioned reasons. Legends Awakened is a great set, though. Next up, we have Diamond and Pearl Stormfront. Do you guys know what's coming? It's my favorite set of all time. And I've made no secret of this in anything I talk about. I love Stormfront. Stormfront is probably one of the most playable sets of all time, not because it has these staple cards that are in every single deck, but because there is so many cards that are good. Every single card is at least interesting. There's cards in the set that have like 3 unique attacks and attributes that we've never seen again, and they're just like an unplayable trash card. But it's like, oh, that's like really sick. I guess that thing exists. It brought shiny Pokemon to the TCG again with the reverse holo shinies, Duskull, Voltorb in the set. It has Regigigas level X. It has Gyarados. It has Machamp. It's incredible. Like, Stormfront is just a great set. Tyranitar is a really cool card. I can't think of them all right now. My head is empty, brain tired. Stormfront's incredible, favorite set of all time. Empoleon, Torterra, Infernape, all got alternate typings. That's the thing with this set, they printed a lot of Pokemon in alternate typings. You got like ones that you wouldn't usually see them in, so like Psychic, Roserade, Fighting Torterra, Steel Empoleon, Fighting Infernape. Like, it was great set. Such like cool for a collector, cool as a player. Really cool as a player, frankly. It hits all the nails on the head. Next up, we have Platinum Base Set. Platinum Base Set. The artwork does get weaker in this set because all of the G Pokemon are drawn by, and this is the set with like most of the Galactic's Pokemon, right? They're all drawn in CG, which is really a shame. All of the Galactic's Pokemon are CG. You do get cards like Crobat G, Poketurn, SP Radar. Actually, SP Radar might be the next set. Cyrus's Conspiracy. Just these like generation-defining cards in the metagame, though. Obviously, you see Palkia Dialga G, which will be really good later on. Just an incredible set for playability-wise. Art-wise, not so much. There is some good artwork, though, like Delcatty Platinum, Gardevoir from Platinum. It's mainly just the holos in the set that are like my favorite artwork. So, but like from all the combined factors, I'm gonna put Platinum in A tier. It's like another one on the brink of S, but like I can't give it S just because, man, those Platinum Pokemon, like the Pokemon from the Galactics guys, no, they're ugly. Next up, we have Rising Rivals. Rising Rivals is the next set featuring Pokemon SP. This one had Luxray, and it notably featured all of the Elite Four and the Gym Leader Pokemon. And like I said, with all the Galactics Pokemon being CG, what they introduced with this set is that every single Gym Leader and Elite Four member printed in the set has an artist tied to their name, and that artist would draw every single one of their Pokemon besides the level X, which would always be CG. Which means we got really cool things, like the fact that Mitsuhiro Aita drew all of Lucian's Pokemon, the fact that Koki Saito drew all of Aaron's Pokemon, Himeno drew all of Bertha's Pokemon, Mazukazu Fukuda drew all of Flint's Pokemon. I believe Koki Saito also drew the Luxray and Raichu as well. Yeah, dude, this set is great artwork-wise because all of the artists went and drew like their own things, and it's also got some of my favorite cards in it. It wasn't really the main SP engine set. Like, obviously Luxray was at least like one of the best cards for SP, and Infernape really good. But it's got Flygon in the set, and Flygon level X is one of my favorite cards of all time. Stormfront has Dusknoir level X. I forgot about that one. That's one of my other favorite ones. So let's just mention that at the end of here. Rising Rivals, though, I ranked it the same place last time, and I'm ranked the same place this time. It's S tier. I'm gonna put it above Dragon even. It's just got so many cool cards in it. I love I love Rising Rivals. I almost said Supreme Victors. I love Rising Rivals. It's such a cool set. There's so many nice looking cards. There's so many cool cards that I want to own. The artwork is incredible. There's a lot of playable cards. I love it. Next up we have Supreme Victors. This set is a little bit less playable. It does go back to focusing on Galactic's Pokemon again, because we have the Charizard half deck that came over in Japan. It was a Charizard versus Garchomp deck. Although this time, instead of featuring Elite Four and Gym Leaders, it has Cyrus's Pokemon, and it has the Frontier Brains and Champions Pokemon. So you see the Frontier Brains like Darak and Thornton and I forget the other ones. Thornton's cool. Sadly, Lady Caitlyn does not get a card. A horrible day that Darak gets one, but Lady Caitlyn does not. My heart will never recover. But the Cynthia's Pokemon are my favorite ones because they're all drawn by Kawayu, which Kawayu's art is so good, and he gets to draw all of Cynthia's Pokemon, which is so cool. And there's Garchomp C level X in the set. That's like the main level X. There's Blaziken FB level X as well, which is also really good. So it's not as good as Riding Rivals because there's a little bit less for me, but it's still really cool, A tier. Next up we have Platinum Arceus. There's very few SPs in Platinum Arceus. It's kind of the end of the block. Frankly, I don't think there was any SPs in Japan's advent of Arceus, but we were missing some promo cards, Porygon Z and Beedrill G. Porygon ZG and Beedrill G. That's kind of hard to say those two letters in a row. That were, I think, promos in Japan, so it makes sense why they would be put just in the next set over here. This set was focused around also Zapdos and Darkrai. Where in the set? No, Darkrai wasn't. Zapdos was. Zapdos G. This set was focused around Arceus, as the name could be told. There was an Arceus subset, which was really cool. Not too hard to pull, and the Arceus deck, while terrible, is kind of fun to think about. So it's kind of a goofy little strategy. This set notably features Tangrowth, Gengar, and Salamence level X, which are some of my favorite level X's of all time. Especially as I've gotten into retro in the last year, Gengar level X went from being kind of just a whatever card for me to being one of my favorite cards. It features the other Gengar in the set as well as Expert Belt, one of my favorite cards from this era, and Spirit Tomb, one of my favorite cards of all time. With that all said, this card probably wasn't ranked this high last year, but it's S tier again. It's gonna go right here above Emerald. I just love it. There's so many cards I love in this set. As well as just having Salamence, one of my favorite Pokemon. You can't miss. Moving on, unfortunately, from the Diamond and Pearl block, we have the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. Heart Gold Silver base was an incredibly strong set. You had, I believe, 6 Primes and 2 Legends. Obviously, Lugia and Ho-Oh Legend. Cool collector's pieces, not good at all in the game. Some of the Primes are kind of cool, though, like Donphan and Typhlosion, Meganium, Feraligatr, Ampharos. Those all come to mind. It also featured really good trainers, being a base set in its way. Had Pokemon Collector, Pokemon Communication, just a really fundamental set in the 2010 era. Really good artwork. The energies came in the set with the Pokemon silhouettes on them, so if you like those are really cool. For me, though, this set goes in A tier. It's not going to go S tier. It is a really cool set. I will admit, it's not as strong as the Diamond and Pearl sets, though. Part of this has to do with the limited playability of the cards and the limited text on them. This was about when the design philosophy for the Pokemon TCG first set in, for them to make the game simpler. Around this time, there was an interview that went out where they were talking about limiting card design to be a little bit more simpler. You can kind of see it in this set, because really the only cards with 3 attributes on them are going to be the Primes, and that's about it. Sometimes even the Legends in later sets. Heart Gold Silver era kind of got away from most of the rares and rare hollows making up the decks, and kind of went to more ultra rare style, which we're used to nowadays, where ultra rares are the majority of decks again. Which, I mean, to be fair, they moved away from that, which was kind of the precedent set by DP. Not like this wasn't like a thing that was like the entire TCG up until now. It was mainly just DP that, with the Lex having a rule to them that limited their counts, most of the decks were based around rares and rare hollows. Next up, we have HS Unleashed. So this one features Entei, Raikou Legend. This pack art, by the way, is just raw, dude. Holy cow. It has the Suicune Entei Legend, and it has the Suicune Raikou Legend. I did have Suicune Raikou when I was younger because I did pull both halves of it. I now have Entei and Raikou, but I'm trying to think like what other cards are in the set. There's Kingdra, which is very cool. There is a Rare Candy reprint, which is cool. Nice little art for it. We didn't get the coolest art of Rare Candy in the set, but it is still a nice card. I'm going to go ahead and put it... it is still a nice set. Engineer's Adjustments, that's cool stuff. I'm going to put it in the A tier. Next up we have Undaunted. Another raw pack artwork. Dude, these Heart Gold Silver Kawaii pack artworks are so raw. The Rayquaza is unfortunately not a very good card in this set. Rayquaza, actually, wait, I'm thinking of a different Rayquaza. Sorry, that's from Diamond and Pearl. Rayquaza Deoxys Legend, very cool card, actually playable. Let me correct myself there. I also had Kyogre Groudon Legend. Again, really, really cool legends. I'd say probably the second coolest legends in this set, only beat by Triumphant, which is next, which has the coolest legend pieces. As for Undaunted, it's kind of like the main thing in the set. If you like add it to a meta game, you get like Vileplume. Vileplume's like the best card in the set, bar none. Most of the primes are kind of meh, and I think a lot of them were promos even. Not a lot going on in the primes. It is still a cool set. It's kind of a Neo Discovery kind of set, which is right down here in the way that's like Umbreon Espeon themed, so kind of funny how things work out like that again. I'm going to put it in B tier. It's not like bad, it's just... I'm going to move this up. I feel bad. This is like top of C tier, right? But I'm going to move it up because I feel bad about putting it down when I'm putting this up here. I think this is better. Yeah, B tier for Undaunted, though. Next up, we have Triumphant, probably the strongest competitive set out of all of these. Even Heart Gold Silver, which had Collector and Pokecom, really can't compare to Triumphant. Triumphant added Junk Arm, one of the best cards in the entire history of the game. Not a card I absolutely love playing against, but a card that is strong nonetheless. Electrode Prime would go on to be really good. Magnezone and Yanmega Prime, both incredible cards. This set brought back the Lost Zone too, so we saw Mew and Gengar Prime working with the Lost Zone. It was a really cool set. Dialga and Palkia Legend, as well as Darkrai and Cresselia Legend, are probably the coolest legend pieces of this era. Kyogre Groudon are also really cool, but when it comes to artwork, Darkrai Cresselia takes it by a cake, and when it comes to effects, honestly, the Dialga Palkia one probably the coolest one. Yeah, this set is really cool. I'm going to put it up in S tier. I just love the set. There's so many playable cards, so many fun cards, so many cool artworks. Kind of put the theme back on Sinnoh Pokemon again, because Undaunted was kind of like had a lot of Hoenn Pokemon in there, whereas Triumphant had a lot of Sinnoh Pokemon in there in a Heart Gold Silver set. Next up we have Call of Legends, another set that Japan actually didn't get. They only got a few of the cards from the set. This set is mostly a reprint set with a few select cards in there that were Japanese promos. The Teddiursa, Mareep come to mind. I know there were promos in Japan that got brought over from hollow promos in Japan to regular commons in our set, which is kind of funny. You got a few cards that were left over from Lost Link, Pachirisu, and Lost Remover should have been in the previous set, but weren't. Also, Twins was in Triumphant. I forgot to mention that. Great card. As for the set itself, though, it's at least a reprint set with good art. I can't put it in the same tier as Power Keepers because it's a reprint set where the art is fantastic, and it features a bunch of like legendary Pokemon that would come over as promos in Japan. They got them. They're like $10,000 promos, so don't try and get your hands on them, but they exist if you really want them, I guess. They're cool. I don't love the legendary Pokemon as I grew up. I kind of like got a little bit disillusioned. I had one when I was a kid. They were absurdly hard to pull and not really worth going for just because that was a reprint set. But all in all, it's like not bad. I'm going to put it up in B tier. Next up we have Black and White base set. Possibly one of the biggest shakeups in the entire game. Changing everything. They changed the rules of the game completely, threw them on its head. They changed the complete power dynamic of the game, going towards a big base eccentric meta instead of evolving Pokemon with Reshiram and Zekrom. They brought full arts into the game for the very first time, which were obviously very big. Up until that point, everything was just a sheen to it. There was no texture. These were the first textured cards in black and white base. And despite the fact that I liked the set when I was a kid, Reshiram and Zekrom I really liked. I liked the black and white games. I still do. They're the best games in the Pokemon series, Black and White 2, God tier games. I have to be honest with myself and say that from an artwork perspective, from a playability perspective, this set did a lot more damage than good. It brought, obviously, the big basic dynamic into the game. The entire set features, like, maybe 5 abilities, and the next set's even worse than that. They were not printing many good Stage 2s with abilities. There was Reuniclus and Gothitelle, and that's, like, it in these next 2 sets. I guess Emboar, actually. Emboar was also good. And Juniper was reprinted in the game. One of the worst mistakes ever made. Discard Draw 7 is a bad effect for the game and makes the game bad to play. So they brought that back, and I mean, it was just a negative direction all around. There wasn't that many playable cards, not many cool cards with abilities, not great artwork. I'm going to put it down in D tier. Next up, we have Emerging Powers. Emerging Powers is, by all means, one of the most meh sets of all time. I say this as the biggest fan of Black and White. It was just kind of a Pokedex set, and the reason that this is because in Japan, Collection Black and Collection White actually contained all of the cards from Emerging Powers in those sets, but we got it split off into an awkward second child instead of just giving them all together. So it's like the other half of the Pokedex. Again, obviously Noble Victory finished off, but in regards to that, like, it's a jungle set. Like, there's like maybe 3 cool cards from the entire set, and it's really sad to say, but it is. Even as a kid, I didn't like opening this set. There's just not much in it. There's artwork wise, it's just okay. Yeah. Whew. Next up, we have Noble Victories. Noble Victories has some cooler cards, and it has the 3 legendary beasts. Obviously, Emerging Powers had them, but they were bad and they were not full art. Whereas the ones in Noble Victories are good and are full art. Terrakion, Brazion, and Cobalion. Sorry, almost said Terrakion twice. Also had Victini full art in the set. Had Chandelure in the set, one of my favorite cards from this era. Had Vanillux, another really, really cool card from this era. This set had a lot more going for it than the last 2. Good to put it up in A tier. I have a little bit of nostalgia because it's the first set I started playing in, so the Brazion was the first deck I ever built. Not a competitive deck, but I did play with the Brazion, multiple copies in my deck. Next up, we have Next Destinies. As a kid, I loved this set. This was like cocaine to me because they said EXs are coming back, and I was really excited. As an adult, I look back and I'm like, why did the EXs come back? Again, this direction of big basics led to the creation of the EXs, which are the biggest of basics and invalidated the entire game because Mewtwo EX was so good. We saw the first full art EXs in the set, as well as the reintroduction of the big EXs. Other than that, the set kind of was kind of crazy. Like, it had Skyro Bridge in it, like... but most of the cards in the set aren't at all viable because of the insane power creep that happened. Almost none of the evolution Pokemon saw any play. You saw like Moongus saw some play, I guess. And I can't even think of any other ones. The artwork did improve noticeably from the previous 3 sets. I will say the artwork did get better in the main set. Cool that it was kind of themed around Castelia City, which was kind of neat. I can't give it like F tier, but it is definitely lower down than I would have ever put as a kid. There's some cool cards I like. I do have nostalgia for Mewtwo and Reshiram and Zekrom EX and Regigigas EX, but I can't... I can put it above those. Yeah, C tier seems fair. I can put it above those sets. Next up, we have Dark Explorers. Really like the most pricey black and white set. Oh yeah, Next Destiny's also introduced secret rares. That'll be relevant. The secret rares with the shiny Pokemon on them. Dark Explorers continued on with that, with the full art Pokemon EX and the secret rares. In this set, we saw the first ever trainer secret rare, other than Time Space Distortion, but it would cause a lasting trend this time, though, with Pokemon Catcher being the first of many secret rare items to come out from now on. The set had Darkrai EX, it had Entei and Groudon and Kyogre EX, it had Raikou EX, I know Suicune EX, I don't know. It was definitely better than Next Destinies, however I can't give it B tier in a way. Had a lot of really playable cards in it that weren't, of course, the regular cards. Actually, it was a big upgrade art-wise. Yeah, we're gonna give it B tier, or C tier. I can't move it above, like, Unseen Forces, Holland Phantoms that are, like, really cool sets. I think Holland Phantom's gonna move up. That's fair. EX Fire Red Leaf Green's probably the next highest. Dark Explorers had some cool cards in it. But ultimately, I do look back on it a little less fondly than I would back then. I do like Raikou EX. The Raikou EX is a lot of fun. What else in the set? Selgor, that's in the set. Dark Claw's in the set, I guess. I do have the Gardevoir Secret Rare from the set. That's apparently a high-ticket item. Next up, we have Dragons Exalted. Despite being like the fourth set called Dragons that we've talked about today, Dragons Exalted is actually the first set to bring in the Dragon typing. Dragon typing was weak to itself, which was kind of cool, and the Dragon Pokemon themselves were like hit or miss. You essentially had Rayquaza and you had the Garchomp, and those were the only good ones for quite a while. And they were both in the set, of course. Rayquaza was really, really cool as a kid. Like, Rayquaza EX was like crack cocaine to me as a kid because it was a cool Pokemon with a cool EX card. The EX Full Art is still really nice. There's Registeel EX in the set, and I do quite like that one. Mew EX Full Art is a really pretty one in this set. Giratina EX in the set, I'm a little less of a fan of the Full Art of that one. Ho-Oh EX Full Art's in the set, so definitely really high on the EX Full Art scale in this kind of thing. The main set again is really meh. I didn't like that Garchomp was CG. I really do like the theming of the set though, and this is what's gonna put it up above the other sets so far. Dark Explorers was themed around like Twist Mountain and the caves and all that. Like there's like Twist Mountain and there's like Chargestone Cave, that's the one. Next Destinies is like Castelia City. Dragons Exalted is End's Castle, Victory Road, the Pokemon League, everything centered in that area, and it's my favorite part of the Black and White games, the huge climax with End's Castle at the Pokemon League. Spoiler alert if you haven't played the game, that's like 13 years old, but there you go. Just incredible like theming of the set though, that really brings it up for me. Over the other over the other Black and White sets so far. Really just nice theming there. Next up we have Dragon Vault. As a kid I would have put this in like S tier, just because I love the fact that you got 5 holos in a pack, and it was just that's your whole pack is just 5 holos. So it only featured 20 cards, every single one was holofoil. And at this point, they'd actually fixed the holofoil. This was the first set where the holofoil looked really good, and it would follow through the rest of the Black and White era. The holos would be really pretty instead of kind of dull, which they were up until now. And this set had just like 1 or 2 cards that were like kind of gimmicky fun. The Hurricane Tail Dragonite and the Salamence were like notable, I suppose. It has Super Rod reprint, which is holo. That's cool. That was in Noble Victories originally, got reprinted there. Noble Victories also had N Full Art. I forgot to mention that. That was the first Full Art trainer ever printed in that set. Another reason why it's A tier, one of my favorite cards. Dragon Vault though, D tier. As I grew up, I just liked it less. There's a lot of CG art in the set, unfortunately, which is a shame, because the set is honestly really cool. But I think the Haxorus and the Salamence are both CG, if I remember correctly, as well as the Kyurem, which is a very random secret that I just threw in there, I guess. Next up, we have Boundaries Cross. As a kid, this is another set that was insane to me. I loved Landorus EX as a kid. Keldeo EX, while I didn't love it, is still a cool card. Mainly, I don't like that Keldeo is a weird horse that looks like a My Little Pony character, but that's whatever. There's the bad black Kyurem and the bad white Kyurem. This set also introduced A-Specs to the game, which was really, really big. A-Spec trainer cards, one of them in a deck. Can't play more than one A-Spec. It also brought back Full Art trainers. Noble Victories had the first Full Art trainer in Full Art N. However, they took a break for a few sets and brought them back in Boundaries Crossed, probably because they were really popular with that Full Art N. This one had Skyla, Sharon, and Bianca. Really cool Full Art trainers. Honestly, the set's just kind of better than most of the EX era sets. I'm going to put up in B tier most of the black and white EX era sets so far. I don't have the same fondness that I used to, however, it's definitely an improvement on the earlier two sets right here. Some really cool cards in there. Next up, we have Plasma Storm. Bring on the Team Plasma. That is what was introduced in Plasma Storm, carrying on the full art supporters and the A-Specs through the block, but introducing the Team Plasma mechanic. The biggest flaw with the Team Plasma mechanic is that their artwork sucked. Sadly, they don't look as cool as they do on the pack artwork here. Their artwork was all CG, which really, really hurts. Oh, I don't like that they did that. Why did they have to make them all CG? They look terrible. The cards look cool because of the blue borders, which as a kid that would always like get you because you'd think you'd see a black border with like an EX, but no, it'd be a blue border with a plasma. Get you every time. Oh man, the artwork on the Plasma Pokemon's so bad. Why do they keep doing this to evil teams? I guess it's just tradition at this point. They did it with Magma Aqua, where they were all CG. They did it with the Galactics Pokemon, which were all CG. And then they're like, yeah, we'll do Team Plasma ones. They're all CG too. There's some cool EX full arts in the set. Lugia and Articuno. Those are the only two EX full arts in the set. It's kind of a small set in that regard. There is Colress full art, which is a full art supporter. But it's kind of a weaker set, honestly. I'm going to put it in C tier. Plasma Freeze is much better, though. Plasma Freeze, there's still secret rares, obviously, in these sets. Boundaries Cross had, like, you know, some cool ones, like Golurk and Superior. Boundaries Cross was actually the set that added gold borders on them, too, not just regular borders. And they continued on. Plasma Freeze is where the secret rares hit their zenith, though, with the Ultra Ball, the Max Potion, Garbodor, Sigilyph, Garchomp, and Polion. Holy crap, like, they were just crazy with this set. We saw some of the cooler Plasma single prizers come out in this set because most of the Plasma Storm ones were absolutely garbage, besides like some rogue decks you can make out of them. Plasma Freeze brought in Kyurem, Absol, and Weavile, which were actually pretty good ones. Brought in the Execute, Propagation, Super Energy Retrieval. It brought in the full art Juniper. It brought in full art Getsis as well as the regular Getsis card. So shout out to Plasma Freeze for really upping the bar. It's kind of saving this Plasma thing because Plasma Storm was not that great. Though I do like Cobalion. Actually, that's the third full art in the set. Cobalion's in the set. Deoxys, Thundurus, EX are in the set. There's like Heatran, Latias, and Latios. I really like the Latias. This set's great. A tier. A tier set. And then we have Plasma Blast. Plasma Blast is a set that I'm particularly fond of. I know a lot of people don't love it. In the set, we got the Virizion Genesect deck, basically built for you because they put everything in one set. They have, this set was, Plasma Storm was featured around Plasma Pokemon, usually on the Plasma Frigate, and the like. Plasma Freeze was around the Frozen land after Team Plasma froze Unova. Again, sorry for the spoilers for a 12-year-old game. And Plasma Blast was all of the Pokemon League and fighting Team Plasma. So you have like the Elite Four all have their own like cameos and cards. Though you don't see them on the card, it's like their Pokemon, and you see the background is like their stadium that they're in. Which I do really like those. The Houndoom, the Machamp, the Reuniclus, and the Haxorus, and the Golurk are all Elite Four Pokemon, despite the fact they're not labeled as such like SP or anything but they do pay homage, and the like basic Plasma Pokemon in the set are weaker than the Plasma Freeze ones. You don't get any like the playable single prize ones, but you do get Virizion Genesect, you do get like Palkia EX, which is really cool, Jirachi EX, which is a really cool card. You get the anti-Plasma counters in this set, Silver Mirror, which is really cool. And you also get the Silver Bangle, which is just an incredible card for single prizers at the time. Also, I forgot to mention with Plasma Freeze, Flareon. Plasma Blast is another A tier set. I would have ranked this S tier last year because I just love this set, but I can't rank it S tier anymore. It's still like top of A tier. I think I'm going to create an A plus now. We're going to add a row above because I want to add more differentiation here. So we're going to make an A plus, just to kind of add some differentiation in here, because A tier is getting a little big, and I definitely have some of these are like less favored than the others. Plasma Blast will move up. We will move up Legends Awakened, Legend Maker, the Platinum and Supreme Victors and Noble Victories and Plasma Freeze and Neo, I think. Yep, that looks fine. Neo Destiny. And these will stay A tier, these will go A+. First time I'm adding A+, but I'm also doing 106 items. Next up we have the Legendary Treasures. This set features a ton of reprints from the Black and White era, featuring stunning art, with a few very small exceptions like the Reuniclus. Most of them were also the best cards in Black and White for the limited usage that Stage 2's single prizers and the likes did see play during Black and White, because that was kind of low. It's one of the best artwork sets of all time, and it's the first set with a Radiant collection, which is really notable. Had the first set with full gold Pokemon in it. S tier. I love this set. I'm trying to think where I rank it. I think we go... I think Triumphant goes here. Yeah, this is how we'll rank the top guys. Yeah, this is just like, wow. Legendary Treasures just has so much good art. There's like the Emboar family, there's the Swablu and Charmeleon, there's the Natus and Bouffalant, there's the Fion with the Trubbish and Empoleon. There's like, honestly, every single card in the set looks so good. The Kawayu Gothitelle. I could just go on forever. The set's great. The Naoki Saito Samurai is really cool. The Superior reprint is cool. Leavanny reprint's cool. Like, I mean, actually, that one's a little bit less cool. It's such a good set. Conversely, XY Base went really weak. XY Base had no full art trainers in it for the first time in a while. The full art Pokemon in the set, it was basically like they introduced Megas, which were like a thing, but they didn't have full arts at this point. And there wasn't Secret Rares Megas in the set either. And the Megas were also kind of bad in the set. So the best card in the set's like Yveltal EX and like Flare Grunt and like, you know, the staple cards that they printed in the first set. D tier. Not a good set. Flashfire, I also don't like it. I like it a little bit better, I'd say, just because it has Lysander full art in the set, but conversely, I think that Guaranteed Gust is bad, and they brought it back in the set as a supporter card, which I do not like. Lysander's consequences for the game, Professor Juniper and consequences for the game have been a disaster for the Pokemon TCG. I don't like Discard Draw 7, and I don't like Gusting supporters. They make the game less fun and less interactive. Gusting supporters definitely gatekeep evolutions out. And Flashfire had the Secret Rare Megas. That was like their big introduction, was the Secret Rare Megas with gold borders. Some of the most boring Secret Rares of all time. It's kind of hard to tell if they're even Secret Rares half the time. I've definitely seen people mismark Secret Rare ones as regular ones just because you can't tell. And I don't like the Mega Charizards. I don't like the regular Charizard. I don't like Mega Kangaskhan or the regular Kangaskhan's. I don't like Heracross. Heracross is the next set. Toxicroak full art's cool, I guess. This set sucks, man. There's Lysander full art and it's a cool looking card, but like that's the only card I like in this entire godforsaken set. This is one of the worst sets of all time. I hate that it added fire support. Fire is one of the worst types in the TCG because playstyle is stupid and not fun to play against or play with. So it added support to my least favorite type. It added back Guaranteed Gust. Come on, this set sucks, man. Furious Fist, a little bit better off. You get some cool cards like Mean Shao. There's a lot of like fighting buffs. This is kind of like the time of the game where like every time you'd hear someone talk about a fighting Pokemon, you're like thinking how much math it can do with Strong Energy, Muscle Band, Fighting Stadium. Like you just add like 40 different modifiers to it before you can like see how much damage it can do. And fighting, if you didn't know, is my other least favorite type of the TCG. Fire is my least favorite. Fighting is my second least favorite. Fighting particularly because of this era of the game where the fighting Pokemon just did big number and you just attach a bunch of things on your board to do bigger number. Fire Pokemon do big number, discard energy. Like that's all these cards are the same. All fire Pokemon did the same thing. All fighting Pokemon did the same thing. I don't look back on this set fondly. F tier. Then we have Phantom Forces. This is a little bit better. You get Night March in here, which is really cool. Team Flare Gears I do like. I don't like Night March, I guess I should say. And I don't like Seismitoad out of Furious Fist either. That was another card that came out of here. Godforsaken set, too. Phantom Forces has the Silver Dialgo in it, which is a really cool collector's piece. Battle Compressor, the Team Flare Gear, Headringer. There was Zorosic and AZ in the set. There was like Gengar EX, like the big one. Again, the bad secret rares were still present, but they did have the Silver Dialga. And for the Silver Dialga alone, I got to give the set C tier. There's a few other things, a lot more interesting of a set. There's a lot more cool playability cards in it, so I'll give it C tier off of that. It's definitely better than the other early XY sets, which were pitiful. Also, I forgot to mention that in the early XY era, this is the worst time. Yeah, I'm gonna move this down. Post putting it down. I remembered something. The early XY era is the worst time in the entire TCG for artwork, because every single new XY Pokemon was CG. Every single one. And sometimes multiple of the same guy got multiple CG prints. And this was like just the worst. Why did they do that? It's so ugly. It's like, hey guys, we have a new introduced generation of Pokemon. We're supposed to warm them up to you. Let's make the cards as ugly as possible so that nobody likes them. That's a great idea. Next up we have Primal Clash. Primal Clash is definitely an improvement. Again, we start seeing this set brought back the secret rare, gold card items, Switch, Dive Ball, I believe, were in the set. I don't remember the other ones that are in the set. I just remember Switch and Dive Ball because that's all I've pulled. I didn't pull Switch, actually. I was trying to pull Switch. This set brought in the Primal Pokemon. It brought in Ancient Traits. Ancient Traits are like abilities that you cannot turn off. There's a lot of things that are going for the set, I'd say, over the other XY era sets. Definitely. Artwork improvement, significantly so. They were not putting CG Pokemon anymore. Thank God. Well, obviously some of the Pokemon are CG, like the EXs, but like it wasn't the entire set being CG. Trying to think. Yeah, Primal Clash is better. We're out of the XY era, and that's good. I'm gonna move this down. I remember there's CG Pokemon in this set. It makes me mad, because CG art's so bad. We're in the ORAS era now, out of the XY. XY is one of the worst generations. The Pokedex sucks. The characters suck. I'm glad to be out of it. As for Primal Clash, back in Gen 3, good times. Not as good as the old EX era, I suppose. But Primal Clash, I'm going on too long. Do I give it A tier? I really like the set. Yeah, A tier. I really like it. There's a lot of cool cards. I like the Ancient Traits a lot. Yeah, they did a lot here. Double Crisis. It's Team Aqua versus Team Magma, but they get their own set now. This set is purely a collector set. There's only like 2 cards in the set that were actually playable. Magma Secret Base was one of them, and I believe there was one of the Aqua tools that was used at one point. But the set as a whole is like super bad competitively, but the set's artwork is top notch. It's probably the best artwork of the entire XY era. And for that alone, I've got to give it A tier. I wouldn't have given this last year, I don't think. But I really warmed up to the set. It's kind of cool. There's a set, again, like Team Aqua Magma, that's just Aqua Magma Pokemon. But this time, they gave them all stunning artworks drawn by actual illustrators and not a computer. So they look great. Next up, we have Roaring Skies. If you asked someone back in the day, this set would have been S tier. That was like the Evolving Skies back in the day. Funny that's Roaring Skies and Evolving Skies. Because this set had Shaman. It wasn't about Rayquaza, even though he was in the set, and he was pretty good. It was all about Shaman EX, like a $70 card back in the day. The full art was like 80 at one point, just ridiculous. Secret Rare versus Seeker was in the set, as well as Energy Switch. There was Mega Latios, which sucked, Mega Gallade, which also sucked. Yeah, it was really all about Shaman and Rayquaza, I suppose. I didn't love this set, though, honestly. It's not bad, it's just kind of meh. And that's why I'll go and see the meh tier. Next up, we have Ancient Origins. Ancient Origins is definitely the strongest of these sets, in my opinion. It's got a lot of cool Pokemon in it. It's got the Secret Rare Rayquaza, Groudon. Also, can I just mention how amazing the pack art is for these 3 sets? They did a really good job on the back arts for these 3 sets. It featured the Secret Rare, Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza that were really cool. and you saw some of my favorite cards from the XY era. Hex Maniac, Ace Trainer were in the set. Versus Seeker was in this set. I'm tempted to move it up again, but the CG artwork. Yeah, that's about all that come to mind with Ancient Origins. It's pretty okay. I think I'm gonna give it B tier. Yeah, it's better than okay, but like because it's got some really cool cards. And I know there's some that I'm forgetting that are in the set, like Whimsicott AOR just came to mind. I like that card. Yeah, we're giving it B tier. Next up we have Breakthrough. This brought in the Break Pokemon, some of the ugliest cards to ever exist. Cool mechanically, but ugly, and only like 3 of them were like actually like really good. The rest of them were dog crap because they're evolutions in an era of big basics and megas and Night March and item lock everywhere, so it's kind of hard to set up. For the set itself, this was the Mewtwo set, featured Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y in their mega forms, as well as their secret rare Mitsuhiro Arita drawings, which you'll see for all 4 of these sets here. They all have secret rare with Mitsuhiro Arita artwork. There's full art Bridget and Giovanni in the set, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I'll give it B tier. I quite like that in that regard. There's some cards I remember fondly from this set. Next up we have Breakpoint, continuing the breaks. This one has Greninja Break, that's Skyla full art. There's the Gyarados and Mega Gyarados cards. But this set also had a lot of cards I really didn't like. None of the X's are really my favorite, but especially the worst one is Max Elixir. So honestly, I'm going to rank it about the same as Breakthrough, but then I got to move it down because Max Elixir is one of the worst cards ever printed for the game. So I hate that set in that regard. Then we have Generations. Generations, including the Radiant Collection, is a pretty neat set. The main set is unfortunately just a reprint set for like 90% of it though, which is really a shame. They just reprinted a bunch of Kanto Pokemon. And then the Radiant Collection is kind of where it's at. It's got some cool EXs in the set. Overall, I don't know if I can give it above a C tier just because it is like a reprint set for most of it. The Radiant Collection is not bad. It's not as good as Legendary Treasures Radiant Collection, but it's something. Next up we have Fates Collide. Fates Collide, continuing the breaks, has some alright cards. I like Carbing from the set. Alakazam is there, I guess. I don't know, that wasn't really a thing. And then you get like the Alakazam tools, and you get the Alakazam spoons. This set was really all about Alakazam, and I guess there was like Umbreon and Espeon, and Espeon's probably the coolest card in the set. But not saving the set from being, honestly, even like almost D tier. I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's like, it doesn't have one card that like ruins it like Breakpoint, but the whole set is just really, really mediocre. And they threw it in products for years. These next 3 sets are all kind of mediocre, and they got thrown in products for years. Next up we have Steam Siege. Steam Siege is definitely better off. The Sycamore full art is really cool. Volcanions are cool. There's Talonflame in it that I really liked. It has the Gardevoir EX Secret, which is one of the best looking cards of the entire era. So in that regard, I'm going to give it B tier, just for that. I may change my mind on it later. It's like a low B, but like the Gardevoir EX Secret is really, really nice. And then Evolutions, obviously Evolutions is in a way a reprint set because it uses all of the really bad artwork from the original sets, but it also gives obviously reverse hollows and EXs and stuff. The EXs are just about all garbage in the game, so like I didn't have fun playing with any of them except for Dragonite, but Dragonite's obviously been a little soured in my memory recently because of me playing the expanded format, and now it's become a toxic card. There is reverse hollows in the set. That's probably my favorite thing is the reverse hollows. I like the mirror foil, and I like the hollow like switches, energies, like all the trainers are really nice. And the full art supporters aren't bad. We're gonna give it C tier. Then we have Sun and Moon. Yeah, these 3 sets, by the way, if you were like buying products in 2017, 18, 19, and up to 20, you got these packs in every single product, and it was horrible. Next up, we have Sun and Moon Base. Sun and Moon Base is a much better set, honestly, than the last 3. You get the start of the GX era, which is started when the game was really improving. Decidueye, Lurantis, Tauros, Lapras are all really cool cards. Nest Ball, Timer Ball are great. You have Lily and Kukui, really awesome cards. And it's got a lot of great full arts in the set. I really like Kukui, Lily, and Team Skullgrunt. Team Skullgrunt's a really colorful card. and the return of Nest Ball is really cool. So I'm going to put this up in A tier, honestly. I really like Sun and Moon. And similarly, Guardians Rising is another higher tier set, because Guardians Rising, last time I actually ranked it pretty low. And it's because, honestly, like the set had a lot of competitive cards, but it's not cards that resonated with me. But as I've started playing some 2018, again, I play a lot of Sun and Moon 2 Lost Thunder, you get a lot more cards that do. Lycanroc GX is a card that's obviously very good. There's Tapu Koko GX that's in the set, Rescue Stretcher, and Choice Band, and Field Blower. And, like, it's still not my favorite set, honestly. Like, but it does introduce a lot of really good cards. The format, when this was the newest set, was really, really fun. Primal Clash, Guardians Rising, great format. So I'm going to move it up. I think last time it was C tier. I'm going to put it up in B tier this time. I forgot to crop the borders on that one. Oops. Next up we have Burning Shadows. Burning Shadows is definitely a lot worse. And I played at the time, and Gardevoir just destroyed everything. And the only thing that beat Gardevoir was either other Gardevoir or Golisopod. And you could beat Gardevoir with something niche like, Metagross GX that hit for weakness, but you're not going to beat Golisopod with that. So it essentially became a 2-deck meta. I was not a fan when the set came out, and the ladder was just absolutely destroyed when this came out. This is like, a lot of these sets now are from like player experience less than collector experience, because I was playing a lot around this time too. And I just really didn't like the Ho-Oh-Kiawe decks that came out. This set had a negative impact on my mental health, is the way I'll put it. Looking back, obviously, Guzma full art really pretty. There is the, for GXs, you get like Marshadow, which is like an alright one. Trying to think, Gardevoir GX, which obviously lives on in Infamy, and there is, trying to think of other cool cards in the set. There's like some full arts that I can't think of, but they don't come to mind, honestly. Guzma's the coolest one. I know there's like Wick, and I don't like that one that much, and there's like Sophocles, and I don't like that one that much. We're gonna put it in C tier. Next up we have Shining Fates. Shining Fates is a really mid set, to be honest, especially compared to the other Sun and Moon sets. You got a few cards out of it. Like, you got the Shining Pokemon, and they're okay. Shining Celebi was cut from the set, though, so I can't really count that because it was cut to be a promo card. And other than Shining Celebi, like, most of the Shinings I'm, like, not that big of a fan of. There's a few cool cards in the set. Set has, like, some alright artwork to it, which is why I can't put it, like, super low. But, honestly, the set just kind of is really, really meh. Doesn't really exist. I mean, there's the Mewtwo card. There's, like, one card there that's, like, cool. The Mewtwo Secret Rare. Next up we have Crimson Invasion. The set brought in the Ultra Beasts to the game. We saw things like Buzzwole and Kartana and Guzzlord GX. Really funny cards, to be honest. Is the set like that good though? It had 3 good full art trainers. A little bit less of a fan of Olivia, but that is one I pulled. There is Gladion, which is really, really sick, and then Loose Bean, which is pretty cool as well. And then, like, in regards to playability, it's mostly just Ultra Beasts, which, you know, honestly isn't bad. We're going to put the set in B tier. I would have probably ranked it lower without having played with the cards, but honestly, it's a good set for playability, and Gladion is a sick full art. Then we have Ultra Prism. I really love this set back in the day. I opened up a ton of it. I pulled in, like, excessive amount of Leafeon GXs. I haven't even pulled, like, one of every GX in the set, and I pulled, like, 11 Leafeon GXs and a full art. I don't know why. As for the set itself, Leafeon GX was actually really cool. So was Glaceon GX. The GXs were a little bit weaker. Like Dusk and Dawnmane weren't like meta-defining cards, but they did exist. And then there was Xurkitree GX, which is cool. And that's what comes to mind. This set is really, really good though in the supporter area. It's got Cynthia and Cynthia full art. It's got Lana full art. It's got Looker full art. Just so many good full arts that don't even come to mind. I know there's more that I'm forgetting. Volkner full art. Gardenia full art. Like, there's a lot of Mars full art. Lucamine second full art. And that just really boosts the set above, like, other Sun and Moon sets for me. Like, as a collector, as a player, there's still some great stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, the Cynthia, and there's Lily full art that I don't even own, actually, sad. like, this set is, like, really good for full arts. And as a player, like, the Lily reprint with amazing artwork as a regular uncommon is great. The Cynthia is great. Yeah, man, I love this set. There's so many cool cards. My biggest regret is not buying that Lily. Like, one of my biggest regrets as a TCG player is that I didn't buy the Lily when it was $20, and then it spiked to like $200 next year. So, big regrets there. Next up, we have Forbidden Light. When I was playing at the time, this set kind of passed me over. I wasn't a big fan of Malamar. I guess, well, actually, Shining Legends, there's Zoroark in this set. Let's move it up to C. I forgot about Zoroark. Sorry. Move that up. Because it just came to mind. Zoroark's in that set. Move it up. As for Forbidden Light, there's Zygarde GX, this is a Kalos themed set. They were doing regional themed sets for the second block of the Sun and Moon era. So Ultra Prism was Sinnoh themed. We saw like Gardenia, Volkner, Mars, as well as the Sinnoh starters and all that. Forbidden Light's kind of a weird mashup because it has the second half of the Sinnoh Pokemon that just didn't make the cut for Ultra Prism, got shoved in there, and you had Kalos Pokemon. And if you don't know, Kalos is probably the worst dex in my opinion, either that or Galar. Paldea's close down there too for not having a great dex, but Kalos is really, really weak dex. Doesn't have a lot of Pokemon I'm a big fan of. So like having a set focused on Kalos kind of sucks. I don't like the characters either, so we got like Diantha full art and Bonnie full art, which are just like not exciting to me because I don't like those Pokemon, and those characters rather. Those are not Pokemon, those are people. So honestly, kind of D tier. There's a few cards that came from the set that I like. The Buzzwole came from that set, the Sledgehammer Buzzwole. There was a few good trainers in the set, like Mysterious Treasure is a really cool card that I like, but other than that, yeah, Malamar's there, that's about it. Next up we have the Celestial Storm. Celestial Storm, the actual like Rayquaza like part of the set that got put in here is like not as strong as like the rest of it. And Rayquaza GX is cool, don't get me wrong, but what really puts this set above the other Sun and Moon sets in my opinion is the reprint set. I believe it's called Champions Road, that got the Japanese set that got translated into this and part of Dragon Majesty with the reprint cards. And you know, I just talked about Evolutions, how I didn't like reprints. These were iconic and good cards being reprinted. Things like Magcargo, Ludicolo being reprinted, the old Rare Candy art, the old Rainbow Energy art, and this set has, this is a Hoenn themed set, by the way, going along the lines. We had Sinnoh, we had Kalos, and then this is Hoenn themed. And this set is just, has so many good full arts too. Copycat, Stevens, the Apricorn Maker. There is, sadly they didn't reprint Oracle or the Desert Shaman because they ended up coming around as different effects, Mallow and Judge in this era. But still, the reprints like Underground Expedition getting a full art. This set I look back on really fondly as a collector and as a player. There's some cool things come out of the set. Do I give it A+? I think A+, honestly. Like, coming back to this, I just really love this set. There's a lot going on for it for me. The reprints are really, really cool. And the reprints in Dragon Majesty aren't as cool. I know it's the other half of the reprints. It's probably the weaker half, though, because there's not that many that are playable. Unfortunately, Blaziken was nerfed to infinity. For Alligator's not good anymore like they were in their original printings, but there is still some cool cards in Dragon Majesty. Salamon's GX is cool. And then there's like Zinnian Blaine. It's definitely a weaker set, though. We're going to put it in C tier. I think, like, Zoroark GX almost makes me want to move this up to B, but I'm not going to do it. It's just like one card. Then we have Lost Thunder. Lost Thunder is great. Created one of the best formats we've had. After the World Rotation, got rid of all the toxic XY cards that I did not like from the late XY period. Lost Thunder brought in so many great cards. Meganium is one of my favorite cards of the time. Alolan Ninetales GX, great card. Blacephalon GX, great card. Elm's Lecture. There was, I don't like Faba, but Faba is in the set. Zeraora GX. Lugia GX. Like, this set had everything, and it did it amazingly. This set is incredible. It's S tier. This set is so good. There's so many playable cards. It made the meta so much better. There's so many good decks. Grand Bolt came out of this set. There's so many cool cards that came out of this set. I'm gonna move Forbidden Light up one step. Now I'll go down here. There's Greninja GX in Forbidden Light. That makes me like it a little bit better. But Sceptile GX is in Lost Thunder. Celebi Prism Star is in Lost Thunder. Like, oh my gosh, this set is so good. There's Lost March. This set was insane. My Fafarigas, Giratina and stuff is all from that set. This set really just kind of redefined the game in a good way. And honestly, we're going to put it like right here. Yeah, I'm comfortable putting it right there. Lost Thunder is incredible. Then we have Team Up. Team Up is a great set for collectability, however, playability went down the toilet. Obviously, the Team Up is the introduction of the Tag Team GXs, which absolutely destroyed the game. Tag teams and their consequences for the Pokemon TCG have been dire. They have not let up. Ever since then, we've had to have massively power crept cards to deal with the result of the tag teams upping the power creep tenfold. As for the set itself, like obviously there's some good cards in the set for a collector. For me, it was a little overwhelming. This is the first time I felt super overwhelmed by a set, because this is the first time in English that we saw a set with 10 full art supporters in it. There was like Ingo Emmett, there was Nita, Evelyn, Dana, and I forget the other one. There's just Morgan's the other one. There was Erica's Hospitality, which I still sadly don't own. Sabrina's Suggestion, which I sadly don't own. There was just an absurd amount of full art supporters, and this is the first time in my like career of collecting where I felt overwhelmed, because up until that point I'd been getting like most of the supporters when sets came out. When they weren't expensive, I'd like wait till they rotate and buy them. I owned most of the supporters from the Sun and Moon era and the X and Y era. I never owned all 10 of the supporters from Team Up. They're so expensive. This is the first time we started seeing like waifu supporters taking over two like $20 Ericas on release, even though it wasn't a card seeing play. It was expensive, and that was like a new thing to the TCG in 2019 that really hadn't been happening before then, and really made it hard as a collector. So like there is a lot of cool cards, but it's held back in that regard by the tag teams destroying the game entirely. What went from one of the best formats we've ever had with Lost Thunder immediately went to a drought and blight on the TCG for the next 3 years. Then we have Unbroken Bonds. I have a love-hate relationship with the set because I opened up 36 packs of the set and only pulled one ultra rare GX out of it, and it was just a regular Honchkrow GX. Like, bro, this set hated me, man. I ended up opening 3 packs a couple years later when they did a reprint of it in 2021. They did a reprint of the they did like 3-pack hanger blisters, and I opened up one of those and I pulled an Alt Art Machamp Marshadow, which was cool. This is really when the tag teams like destroyed the meta beyond repair. In the last set they were really toxic, but it wasn't like the game was unplayable because Pikarom and stuff could be countered with weakness. Whereas in this meta, Reshazard absolutely destroyed the game. Guardian made it so you could play 4 Pokemon in a deck and just not have to deal with that. There was some good things come out of the set. A lot of good full art supporters. Greens, Welder. I really like Molayne, but I didn't end up owning a Greens full art for a while, and was Welder, because again, the price on these full art supporters really started to go up with the release of Team Up and afterwards. This is where alternate art Pokemon came to the game too, so I should mention those. From Team Up, my favorite one was Wailord Carp. I pulled the Gengar Mimikyu and sold it for like 25 bucks back in the day because I wasn't a big fan of that one. But like the alternate arts were only tag teams, sadly. And for Unbroken Bonds, there was also Whimsicott GX, and that really raised my opinion of the set. It's got some good full art supporters. It's got Whimsicott GX. Yeah, I can't rank it above B tier though, because it just destroyed the game completely. I gotta move down to C tier because of that. I want to put it higher because Whimsicott GX, and I want to put it higher because of the cool full art supporters that were in the set. But from a playability standpoint, it's one of the worst sets to ever release for the game. Then we have Detective Pikachu. This set just kind of sucks. All of the art is just CG Pokemon from the movie. There was like maybe 2 cards that were ever like viable from the set. Wasn't fun to collect. They're all kind of ugly. F tier. I didn't like it. Then we have Unified Minds. This is like what if Unbroken Bonds and same levels of like destroying the meta. But like the meta was already destroyed at this point, to be fair. Like it was not a safe space for fun anymore. But they did not have the full art supporters that made the last 2 sets better. In this set, there was only like 5 full art supporters, and I don't like any of them besides Grimsley. Grimsley is the best one by far. D tier. It's bad. Then we have Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates gave us perfect reason to pass over Unified Minds because Hidden Fates came out. I love the Hidden Fates shinies, and I was buying them for a really, really long time. Only recently started to use them in decks and start to sell them off and stuff, as I've found too many extras that I've had. Had a really good full art supporters. This is the first that I believe to have gold stadiums as well, so gold Aether Paradise. I really liked the shinies though. It was a super fun set to open. The first set I ever had to struggle to find in my entire life. I've never had to struggle to find packs before until Hidden Fates. So that was kind of when the first like sign of what to come in 2020 was going to happen, but this is the first set I ever struggled. The set's A+ though, just because it was so fun to open. As a collector, it was a dream. I pulled lots of cool cards, except for the full art supporters. I only pulled 1, and it was Aether Paradise, but still, I pulled like lots of shinies, and I pulled like, you know, Umbreons, Espeon. I pulled Scizor, Guzzlord. Like, that was a lot of fun. Anyway, Cosmic Eclipse. Cosmic Eclipse is like, what if we took the other tag team sets and we destroyed the meta even more, because ADP would eventually go on to ruin the game. However, Cosmic Eclipse is not, hear me out, not as bad of a set as the other tag team sets, and it's why it's a collector set. The alt arts in this set are actually really good. I really like Naguz, and I really like the Arceus Dialga Palkia statues, and it has Dream League, which is one of the best sets ever released. It's the Japanese set Dream League, which had, the entire set was illustrated, which was really nice, and then I think besides Magneton, I think Magneton's the only card that was CG, and then like the full arts from the set are all really beautiful. The full art supporters from the set were all really great, and I had character rares, which is the first introduction of character rares into the game, which puts the set up, despite the fact that at this point the game was toxic, unplayable waste. I will say that the set, as a collector, made me very, very happy. I was opening up a lot of the set. Character rares were great. The full art with like N, Zekrom, and Reshiram, one of my favorite cards of the era. Full art Rosa, full art N's Resolve. Even the fact, like, you got some other stuff. This was Remix Bout, Altered Creation, and the Dream League put together. And I believe Remix Bout was the one with the tag team supporters. I could be wrong, it could be Altered Creation. But they had Cynthia and Caitlyn, Mallow and Lana full art, and there was Guzma Hala full art. So some really cool full art supporters in the set. So honestly, like, I have to give it A tier because its collectability, it's like, it's honestly, yeah, we're gonna give it A tier because its collectability was just so good. A+ tier because its collectability was so good that it makes up for its faults in playability, but it didn't really ruin the meta so much as the meta was already destroyed by this point. Next up we have Sword and Shield base set. The highlight cards from this set are Quick Ball and Marnie. Yeah, the rest of the set can burn, honestly. They introduced Rainbow supporters, Vs and VMAXs, Rainbow VMAXs. This set is god-awful. F tier. One of the worst sets of all time, in my opinion. Obviously, there's playable cards in it. They aren't cards I like, though, besides Quick Ball, and I like Marnie Full Art for a collector's purpose. The Rainbows are terrible. Rainbow Rare Supporters is one of the worst ideas of all time. Yeah, get rid of the set. Rebel Trash, also terrible. I don't like Boss Swords. I don't like Scoop Up Net. They're not fun cards to play with. And there's more ugly VMAXs, more ugly CGI Vs, more Rainbow Rare supporters, except for none of the full arts are nice this time. F tier. Then we have Darkness Ablaze. Darkness Ablaze is a little bit better. It's got Salamence V, which is cool. And then it has more Rainbow Rare supporters, Full Art supporter, yeah, F tier. Champion's Path. This set has Gardevoir VMAX and it has Obstagoon in it. I did pull one of the shiny Charizards. Still F tier though. Then we have Vivid Voltage. Vivid Voltage added the amazing rares into the game. Obviously, one of my biggest hatreds of this set is that Celebi Amazing Rare was drawn, instead of being drawn by an actual artist like Jirachi, Yveltal, Raikou, and the like, where it was CG, so it looks terrible, and I'm really mad about that they had to sell Celebi short there. For the rest of the set, there is, like, I liked the Center Lady full art and I wanted that, but it was too expensive because by the time we had hit Champion's Path, the game had gone from somewhat popular to, oh my god, I can't find products in stores and Vivid Voltage packs are costing $20 online. We were in that hell at this point, and this set just brings me nothing but bad memories. F tier. I like Orbeetle VMAX, but this set brings me nothing but bad memories. Rainbow rares all over the place. Awful. Shining Fates. Shining Fates is what if we did Hidden Fates, but worse. Unlike Hidden Fates, which featured tons of playable Pokemon as the shiny cards, Shining Fates featured only Galar Pokemon, and most of them were not playable. Keep in mind, single prizers by this point were pretty much obsolete besides basics. And they even picked, like, worse versions of cards, so, like, the Sobble they picked wasn't the good Sobble, the Grookey they picked wasn't the good Grookey, not even the Scorbunny was the good Scorbunny. The Cramorant was the worst Cramorant. They just picked bad versions of the Pokemon to put in the set. Playability was thrown aside for collectability, and for collectability, all the set really has to offer is a few full art supporters, since I hate Rainbow Rares and I hate the shiny Pokemon. In that regard, there is Rainbow Rares, I believe, in the set. I believe there's like one or two. I could be wrong, but I don't think there is actually. That's Champion's Path with Rainbow Rares. There's Pokekid, Skyla full art, and I like those ones. The rest of them kind of just are whatever. So D tier. It's barely escaping the F tier. Then you have Battle Styles, back to a little bit of a better set. Battle Styles brought back alternate arts. Still had, unfortunately, Rainbow Rares and Rainbow Rare supporters, unfortunately. It does have one cool supporter. I like Cheryl. Actually, I like Mustard, too. I like the Single Strike Mustard. And then I like the Single Strike Rapid Strike Engine. There's some cool cards in it. But, I mean, it's not better than C tier. There's a cool alternate art Urshifu that I like. Chilling Rain. This is definitely better. I'm not a big fan of the Calyrexes. I don't like Calyrex as a Pokemon. He's really ugly. He looks like a Kirlia and a Sawsbuck combined. But in regards to like the set itself, if you don't know, the set has Caitlyn Full Art, which is my favorite Full Art supporter of all time. It has some really cool Full Art supporters. Peony, Peonia, really strong on the Full Art supporter front. Unfortunately, from packs, I only pulled 2 Agatha, a Brawly, and an Avery. I don't know why I pulled like all of the worst ones from the set. Avery's fine, but my luck with that set. I also pulled Rainbow Rare copy of Agatha as well. This set traumatized me with pulls. I just want to pull a Caitlyn. Is it that much to ask for? This set did have Glary Moltres alternate art, which is really, really pretty. It did have the Snorlax Gold, if you're into that. I don't like gold Pokemon. So, like, this set's definitely better than the other Sword and Shield sets in that way. And I have to get A tier because there's a lot of cards that I like in the set, so for collectability standpoint, it's A tier. Then we have Evolving Skies, everyone's favorite set from Sword and Shield, except for mine. Evolving Skies has one of the worst main sets in Pokemon history. There is, like, no playable cards in the entirety main roster of the set, besides the Evolutions. That's literally all. You get, like, Jolteon, you get, like, Vaporeon was a thing for, like, 5 seconds. Umbreon was good, and that's, like, it. That's, like, the entire roster, and that's all. I guess Leafeon was a thing for a second, too. This set is what I call top-heavy, where the entire set is based around the secret rares and alternate arts. And there's some nice ones, don't get me wrong. Espeon is really nice. Espeon V alternate art. Leafeon V and VMAX alternate art are both really pretty. The full art supporters, there's Zinnia, which is cool, and Aroma Lady is cool. And I like Gordy. I know no one else likes Gordy, but I like Gordy, even though the card effect is stupid. But this is top heavy. We have to put this in mind that this is one of the worst main sets in all of Pokemon. So I'm going to put it in B tier. Like, collectability, I could see why you'd put it higher, but as someone who cares about, like, trainer cards and sets, this set's got Rescue Carrier, and that's the only trainer that exists in the set. And the rest of the set is just bad. Celebrations. Oh boy, I love Celebrations. Celebrations is... They did screw up on some things. It's not a perfect set. There's way too many Gen 1 cards. And the... things like I don't like the Gold Mew, it's ugly. I do really like all the legendary Pokemon. Some of the picks for the 25th anniversary, guys, I know like collectors out there will say, oh, why'd they pick Claydol and stuff? Claydol is a good choice for a Pokemon. The thing that's wrong is things like Imposter, Professor Oak, which was not a good card in playability or in collectability. Things like Here Comes Team Rocket, which we got reprinted 5 years ago in Evolutions. That didn't need to be done. Realistically, you probably could have removed like half of the Gen 1 cards, added like, you know, maybe a Crystal type or another Gold Star or something. Maybe add more playability, something like Gardevoir from Secret Wonders, or a Plasma card like Genesect, maybe an A-Spec like Computer Search, maybe even Tropical Beach would be a good one to put in there. So there's definitely some things that can be improved. Realistically, in the future, if I'd want to see it like set like this again, I'd want to see it more than 25 cards. I get it's the 25th anniversary, but they did pick a lot of wrong choices, in my opinion. Even as a player, some of the cards were kind of questionable. So, but I did love this set. At opening, it was a blast. Getting to pull a Luxray GL level X and Garchomp C level X, like, you know, 12 years after the sets were actually out. Like, you don't know how awesome that is of a feeling for me as a player. You know, this set in that regard has to go in A+, just because, like, it was so much fun to open. They gave reprints to cards. Not all of them that are equal, honestly. Like, Uxie probably could have gotten a reprint. Uxie Legends Awaken could have gotten a reprint, but still, they did pay attention to, like, it's not just a collector set. They did pay attention to players. Things like Cleffa, Claydol, things like Luxray and Garchomp, you know, instead of just doing like a Charizard level X, right? They paid attention to players, even if not every card I agreed on. You know, Gardevoir was like kind of a weird choice, for instance. I know it was like somewhat playable for a while, but still kind of a weird one. Then we have Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike is the set with Celebi alternate art, so I do hold some sentimental value there. One of the best alternate arts. Didn't think we were going to get it in English, but yeah, we did. Other than that, the set does have the Fusion Strike engine. I know everyone hates Fusion Strike, love to be a big hater. I don't care either way. I think it's cool to play, but I honestly get why, you know, sometimes it can be a bit rough for non-meta decks to deal with. That is what separates a non-meta deck from a meta deck, though. Did significantly change up the meta with Mew, turned it into Mew versus Mew counters, until we got to Brilliant Stars and things started to stabilize, but Mew counter was still everywhere. Though the Dark Pokemon were also just generally good to have around. So the set, honestly, I'm going to give it B tier. It's not like bad, but definitely could be better. There is a lot of... Yeah, I'm going to move down to C tier. Celebi's like propping up the set and like the Fusion Strike engine. There's a lot of bad cards in this set because it was kind of a filler set. I don't know why they keep doing it, but they keep holding back cards until the end of a block and just dumping them in a set. It's really unhealthy and it's unnecessary because then we just get one really small set at the beginning and a bunch of stacked sets with like mixed theming all throughout the rest of the year. And then a dump at the end. This is like the biggest set ever, and it's like half of it doesn't make sense in the set. It's the biggest set ever, by the way, made up of one Japanese set. The other ones here are made up of like 2 or 3. This is made up of 1. It's the biggest set ever, just because they dumped so much in it. Brilliant Stars, getting up to current 2022 year. I guess it's 2023 now. Brilliant Stars was a really, really good time. Really an improvement on the Sword and Shield playability-wise. Arceus V-Star brought so much life back into the game. Whimsicott V-Star was also very cool. You still had Mew VMAX seeing play, but it was very much counterable by that point. There's so many good archetypes that came out of this set, and the meta game was actually enjoyable for the first time in a long time. You had Manaphy Bench Barrier, and along with that, we got the Trainer Gallery from V-Star Universe in Japan. They started bringing those over here, so that we actually had cool cards to look forward to in the Reverse Hollow slot. And there was pretty decent full arts in the set. It's not like an amazing set for full arts, but there is, like Gloria and Acerola, and I like the Rapid Strike Mustard in this set. Can't come up with any of the other ones. This set's an improvement because so much of Sword and Shield, year 1 of Sword and Shield is the worst year of the TCG of all time, and it's like X and Y and Sword and Shield, they're both like down there. Sword and Shield's the worst though. I gotta give it like a pretty decent tier. Also, Sharon's Care is in the set. I love Sharon's Care, great card. We're gonna give it A tier just because I really like what the set did for the meta. There's a lot of collectability cards in here. Again, Whimsicott V-Star, very fun card that I enjoyed. Yeah, I'm actually rebuilding Sword and Shield to Brilliant Stars format right now. That's a format I'm putting together. Gonna make 9 decks for my archive. Next up, we have Astral Radiance. This set has a significantly weaker Trainer Gallery than Brilliant Stars. It also brought Palkia into the metagame, which is kind of not a card I particularly like. I do think Roxanne is nice, though. Roxanne's a welcome presence. However, there's also Judge in the previous format. It just wasn't played much. So in regards to Astral Radiance, like there's some good things it did, but ultimately its Trainer Gallery was weak, and it didn't do much for me as a player or collector, so C tier. Next up we have Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go brought almost nothing to the metagame. I remember people at PTCG Radio in particular did a video talking about how great this set is. It's got so many relevant cards than it had in reality, like Radiant Charizard, and that's it. Because the cards were really underpowered, a lot of them were evolution based, and they did Conkeldurr V incredibly dirty. The alternate arts in this set are ugly as sin. I don't know why they chose CG for the alternate arts, and Conkeldurr V is one of the worst Vs, if not the worst V of all time, which is sad because I've been begging for a Conkeldurr Ultra Rare for years now, and they just did him so dirty. F tier. I straight up never opened a pack of this set because I just didn't want to. Lost Origins, significantly better. Really good Trainer Gallery. You had like things like the Orbeetle VMAX made it into this one, as well as the Gallade V, and there's a lot of good ones in Lost Origin, as well as Colress and the entire Lost Box engine being in the set. The Hisuian Zoroark was in this set. This set had a lot going for it. Not like an incredible set in any means, but definitely like B tier. Not as good as Brilliant Stars, but still really good. If I were to build another Sword and Shield metagame besides the Worlds and the Brilliant Stars format, it'd probably be Lost Origin. And things went immediately downhill with Silver Tempest. Silver Tempest brought in the Lugia V-Star, brought in the Sealed Stones, and that's literally it. And the rest of that was kind of just a dumping ground of whatever. There's some cool full arts in the set, and that's about it. Yeah, really the set kind of sucks. It has an okay Trainer Gallery, though, I will say. It is like Blissey in the Trainer Gallery, which made me very happy. Yeah, D tier. Then we have Crown Zenith. Ending off Sword and Shield strong, we have another collector-based set. There is some cards that are actually good for the playability of the year, though, unlike the last collector-based set right here. Because there's things like Zamazenta V-Star, which will probably be pretty good moving into the Scarlet Violet era. There's things like Rotom V-Star, which we should have gotten way earlier. There's Radiant Eternatus, which is a niche but pretty okay card. There is, I can't come up with the rest. Zamazenta, the regular one in the set, it's pretty good. And I know there's not a ton of cards, but this set is a collector home run. This came from V-Star Universe in Japan. I think I said VMAX, or I think I said V-Star Universe and talking about Brilliant Stars. That's VMAX Climax, I misspoke there. This set had art rares and secret art rares. Basically like the best trainer cards to ever exist. Like Full Art Sharon is one of the best Full Art supporters of all time. Full Art Gardenia, secret art rare, right? Full Art Cynthia, secret art rare. The Sharon one is mind-boggling. Regigigas, secret art rare. That's another V-Star I really like. Regigigas V-Star is really nice. And just so many art rares are so nice. The artwork is great. Not all of them. They did mess up. They did get a lower percentage, I'd say, than like Hidden Fates with like making playable Pokemon into the art rares. But they did still get some important ones like Comfey. Meloetta should have definitely gotten one, and they definitely got snuffed. They did a little bit too much like Keldeo, where it's beautiful art, but it's a terrible card. The Kogi Saito Gallery, nice artwork, but horrible cards. So we're going to put Crown Zenith up into the A+ tier. It's not as good as Celebrations, but it is still really good. And that's all the sets that we ranked. All the sets took like 2 hours probably. I don't know how long this video is, too long. If I had to put a top 10, these are all ranked up here. So you have my top 8, and then out of these sets here, I'm like really leaning towards like Plasma Blast, Platinum Base, Celebrations, Cosmic Eclipse, and then like these 3 is what I'm leaning towards. The lower end of it is like a Neo Destiny, which I think I'll move down to 8 here in retrospect. And then yeah, that's looking fine. Legends Awaken's also really good though. Thank you guys so much for watching this like film-length tier list video talking about all of the Pokemon TCG sets of all time. Just a reminder, if you didn't hear at the beginning, that you can do it yourself. It'll be linked in the description down below. Come back next Tuesday for another tier list, or maybe on Friday you want to stick around for one of my tabletop retro gameplay videos. I have been Whimsicast. I have spent way too long ranking this. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm out.